Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. So I'll be presenting yet another Asian session live market analysis, and this will be for the week 29th July to 2nd of August. And we are on 29th July between 5 and 5:30 GMT. I will try to explain to you what is the derived forecast along with that of the ranges, and also explain to you the market reading and the trading strategies which we could deploy during this particular week. So, during the month end and the new month beginning time, invariably the market is expected to show some surprise moves or very volatile conditions. And this time, the volatility will be of a different nature. So that I will explain to you with the help of the second slide. So this is an algorithm-based statistically derived forecast, and on a daily basis I've given it for the 5 days of this particular week. And also which is given for the 3 sessions of the day. So in this week we are expecting very volatile move as it is month end and the new month beginning time. But the upward bias will be very, very big this time. And on a daily basis, I'll explain to you when they could make upward spikes. So there are 3 sessions of the day. 0030 to 7 GMT is the Japanese session. 7:30 to 13 GMT is the European session. And 13:30 to 20:30 is the US session. So these are all the timings followed by that of the players, and if you could use the same, we will be in a position to trade effectively. Hence, I have given the session-wise market moves so that you can enter and exit within the session. If the going is good, then you can try to close it by end of the day. And the market moves you would have seen so far, they make a quick downward move or an upward move for about 45 to 55 pips. But this time, this week, they are expected to make about 100 to 150 pip swings. So, one has to be very careful and try to see that they are not caught on the wrong side. So, for that purpose, I am just explaining to you the expected market moves in this particular week. So 29th July, that is today, EURO and GBP are expected to make a swing and slide, and they made a small upward gap opening and then start the slide. And they are expected to make the swing and firm up move during the European session, and it may appear the market is lackluster and wanting some trigger. But during the US session, they are expected to make the swing and rise move. Then tomorrow 30th July, from the Japanese session itself, they could make the rise, a small brief swing during the start and then rise. From the rise level, a dip during that of the early European session and then continue to rise, and then swing and rise moves are expected during that of the US session. So today and tomorrow, they could show the intentional move of slow gains in the case of EURO and GBP, and they will alternate the gains in the case of USD-Yen and USD-CHF as well. And I have been explaining many times that they intend to make the contrarian move to handle the crosses. So the crosses also they are expected to gain the levels. Then 31st, that is a month end time for this particular month. They are expected to show a dip during start of the day and a quick rise. And then a visible rise could be seen during the European session. And that could be a very big spike. And on 31st, they could show the new high levels in the case of EURO and GBP, which we have not seen for the past so many months. Then afterwards, from there, they are expected to dip and firm up and hold the higher levels for the month end. And during that time, the forecast expects the gains in the case of USD-Yen as well as USD-CHF. And that will give enormous surprise to the traders that the crosses of the majors could show very big upward moves. So especially Euro Yen, GBP Yen, Euro CHF, they are expected to make the very big upward move. And Euro GBP is expected to make a quick downward move in this particular process when GBP gains more when compared to that of Euro. Then on 1st of August, that will be the month beginning time, again they are expected to make a swing and slide move during that of the month beginning time, then dip during that of the European session, and then make a quick rise. And you know that the BOE and ECB interest rate decisions and ECB press conference, they are all expected to happen, and they are expected to make a quick rise. If you remember that in the month of July, in the beginning, they made a very big slide in the case of Euro and GBP when there was no change with regard to the interest rate. And this time, for the same no change, they are expected to make a quick rise. So then you can understand they are all nothing but the excuses in the market, and the players try to make use of it and try to create the surprise to that of the traders. And then swing and quick rise moves are expected. And you know that previous months, you would have noticed that if they gain for the BOE and the ECB interest rate decisions, the next day they drop. Or if they drop Euro and GBP for BOE and ECB interest rate decisions, they try to rise during the other non-farm payroll on the Friday. But this time, for Euro and GBP, BOE and ECB interest rate decision, they are expected to make a quick rise, followed by that of their dip and quick rise on 2nd of August, that is Friday, and a swing and quick rise before and after that of non-farm payroll. And then again swing and quick rise could be seen for the weekend. So we will be able to see shift in trading zone in the case of Euro and GBP, and the recent highs could be shown in the case of USD Yen and USD CHF. With regard to the commodity pairs, Canadian dollar is expected to gain the levels and rise to that of the recent high 1.05 area, and Australian dollar could go to 0.95 area in this process as a sideways move. So we intend to see, or we are likely to see, very big upward moves in the case of Euro and GBP. And normally I used to say that the month end and the month beginning time, try to avoid doing the position trade, but this time around you can do the position trade, especially today and tomorrow. They are expected to show the low, then afterwards they are not going to show those levels for a considerable amount of time. So one can take the buy and keep the hedge order to limit the risk, and once the market goes up, keep stop at entry and wait for all the 5 days and the coming weeks. By end of August, you should be able to make a phenomenal profit. And those who are in the options and the derivative trading, they can take the call options and they should be able to make phenomenal money in this particular time frame. So coming to that of the levels, what we could see in this particular week. So Euro currently trading around 1.3279, and the initial low they set it as 1.3276, and they just cut it by 1 pip, and they could show 1.3250 as the low around that particular area. A brief downward stop and could be a buy opportunity in the case of Euro, and they are expected to breach 1.34 and go above 1.3550 could be shown. And currently the high is 1.3294. And when I was explaining that upward trend is expected in the case of Euro and GBP, many were just skeptical, and they said that how can it be when the economic conditions are so bad and European conditions are so bad? But you know that the market players act against the market sentiments. So ultimately that is a prime factor. When the traders commit the sell positions in the case of EURO and GBP, their players are not here to give them the profit based on the fundamentals, and they try to trap them using a different concept or different ideas or different explanations for the market moves. In the case of GBP, 1.5350 could be the low. It is around that low, and 1.5377 they showed the initial low, and they just breached it by 1 pip. So you can understand that how carefully they are handling it, and they are not making big drops. But after making big gains, they are expected to make a big drop moves as well. Then 1.5750 could be seen, and even higher in the case of GBP, and a quick upward spike is expected in GBP, and that could change the market sentiment totally. Currently they have shown it as 1.5400, and they just 0.5. That is the current high or the initial high, and they are expected to make further big gains in the case of GBP. And USD yen, they are expected to hover around that of 97.75. They showed a 97.64 during start of the day, and they are expected to hover around and rise to that of 102 area, and 98.34 is the high. And you might see that today they are expected to make a quick upward spike in the case of USD yen. And in the case of USD CHF, 92.75 could be the expected low. They are shown so far 92.72, and there was the initial low, and then they made 1 pip dip in the case of USD CHF, and this could be the low, and afterwards they are expected to so far they are shown 92.90, a narrow range, and 96.75 or 97 area could be the high. And if you see the contrarian moves, they are making it, showing all negative net changes. That is mainly to make a brief downward stop and before making big rises in the case of in this particular week. And USD CAD, again they just made the downward stop, and 1.0275 could be the low, and they have just shown 1.0263, a nominal dip, and also 1 pip downward move, 62, they have shown it, and 1.0575 could be the next rise level. So far they have shown the high as 1.0287. Then Australian dollar, and all were expecting below 91.90, etc., but they are gaining the levels, and 92.50 could be the low, and they are just shown today 92.48, and from here they are expected to gain to 94.75, 92.83 or 87, they have shown it. So they are expected to considerably gain the levels in the case of Australian dollar as well as Canadian dollar. See, now they are showing negative net change. No, Canadian dollar is on the downward move. Australian dollar is also on the downward move. So which is a contrarian move. Similarly, USD yen is on the downward move, and GBP is on the downward move, and CHF is on the downward move when GBP is on the downward move. So these are all the contrarian moves. So by making such contrarian moves, they are expected to gain the levels in all the 5 currencies: Euro, USD yen, GBP, USD CHF, and Canadian dollar, and Australian dollar. They are expected to make a wide range swings in this particular season. So I will review it again on 1st of August, that is coming Thursday, and see what are the levels they are shown, and also what happened to that of the forecast, which I have shown it here, and whether it has come true or market has gone against it. I will review it before you, and so that you will be able to understand how effectively you can use this particular forecast model. Then the next part is market reading. So in the market reading, we note down the high and the low set between 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. 3:30 GMT in 4 majors and 2 commodity pairs, and use them as a reference level for 24 hours day to identify the types and sequence of market moves following the session timings. So here we use the live market code page, and you come across their session times, and now it is the mid Japanese session, and from 5:30 GMT it will be late Japanese session, and this is the currency symbol and also the bid and the ask, high and the low they are set. Around 3:30 GMT, whatever the high and the low they set here, you make a note of it. That is what it refers to in 4 majors and 2 commodity pairs. By watching these 6 pairs, we will be able to predict what is going to happen in the market. If you follow the type of moves, and those types of moves, they have to do definitely in sequence. They cannot do it alternatively. And they have been doing it for the past 18 years the same way. So beyond that, there is no proof required. And still, your understanding is very important. So what we do is, we note down the initial lows and the highs. I just noted down the initial lows and the highs today. And around 3:30 GMT, Euro formed the low 1.3276. And that was the initial low. They just breached it by 1 pip and gone to 32.80. A small dip, they have done it. And 32.94 is intact. They have not breached it. So after a brief downward stop, and they are expected to gain the levels. In the case of in the case of GBP, 1.5377 was the initial low. Here again, they just made a 1 pip downward stop and started gaining the level. In less than 30 minutes, they gained above that of the initial low and staying above there in order to breach the high. 1.5405 is the high. They are expected to breach the highs soon. And in the case of yen, 97.64 is the high, 98.34 is the, low, and 98.34 is the high. So they are not breached the low or the high, and they already made a 50 pips negative net change in the case of USD yen in order to make a downward move in the case of the yen crosses before making an upward move. So all the yen crosses, great buy opportunities are there, and later on they are expected to gain the levels. But keep in mind that don't overtrade. They are all giving good buy opportunities, but it doesn't mean that you can take positions in all currencies, because market means swings. They can just make 50 pips up and downward swings or stop and you should not become panicked when the equity erodes in the market, when the market moves against you. So take only limited positions and try to keep stop at entry in one position. Then later on you commit another position. No harm in it. Market continue to give trading opportunities. And it doesn't mean that you have missed that opportunity at any given time. So if you wait, again another opportunity will be given during the next session. Then in the case of CHF, 92.71 was the initial low, and that is intact. 92.90 is the high, that is also not breached. So in the case of denominator currencies, USDN and USD-CHF, they are just making the moves within the range. And Canadian dollar, 1.0262 is the low, 1.0287 is the high, and initial low and the initial high, they are not breached it. Again here you are coming across a narrow swing. And Australian dollar, 92.48 is the low and 92.87 is the high. Initial high, they are not breached the low or the high. And so here you come across only in the case of EURO and GBP, they just made one downward move. And afterwards they gained, and they are expected to below that of the initial low, and they are expected to gain slowly the levels in all currencies. If you see, almost all currencies are showing negative net change except Euro, which is showing 0.0, and CHF is showing 0.0. So they are making a careful downward stop in the case of the yen crosses. If you see, here again you come across negative net change in all currencies, in all crosses. A downward stop before making a big rise. And the currencies like Euro, AUD, both are numerator currencies. So the relative strength of those currencies are to be taken into consideration for understanding their moves. So you find that invariably they are handling the crosses during the mid-session. In another 8 minutes, they will come to that of the majors and start handling the majors, and you will find that slowly they are expected to firm up, and during that of the European session, they are expected to breach the high and go above. In the case of Euro and GBP nominally, but in the case of the denominator currencies, they are expected to gain quickly and hold. Then afterwards, Euro and GBP are expected to rise during that of the US session. So this is how they are expected to make the moves today. By looking into the market, we'll be able to predict what sort of moves they are going to do it. But still, as long as we are human, we are bound to commit mistakes. So what do? Even though we decide that we are taking a buy near that of the low, still, we need to use the trading strategy. The trading strategy, 30 pips hedging order or stop below that of the buy positions, and once the market moves in your favor for about 25 pips, keep stop at entry and reduce the risk to nil. Then you commit another position in another currency so that it doesn't lead to over trading. Because if the market reverses you, only one position will be hedged. All other positions will be closed. So it will not give any threat to your margin. So always money management plays a vital role. Ultimately, we use money as an investment in order to earn from that other market. And in the process, we should not lose our investment. So you have to keep it in mind that that investment has to be used carefully, because without a deposit of money or equity, you will not be able to take any position. But at the same time, you should not risk it unduly by over trading, because once you see the market moves, immediately you are tempted to take positions, or if somebody says that they are all great buy opportunities or sell opportunities, you tend to overcommit. And then once the market moves in our favor and you book a nominal profit, then you listen to him and commit more positions. And you become addicted to trading as well as you do over trading. These are all the two things which make the traders to lose the account. So you come across the statistics, nearly about 90 to 95% of the traders are losing money because the emotion is common among human, irrespective of the nations they belong to. So ultimately we have to control our emotions in order to make a self-realization and avoid repeating the mistakes. Then exit point, keep 45 pips limit order or a take profit order. And if the going is good after keeping stop at entry, you can always move it to 75 pips and above as a position trade once you start using the stop in the entry level as a trailing stop, maintaining a distance of 15 to 25 pips, and it will also rise and maximize the profit, and the limit you can move away from the market. So the market could either hit your trailing stop or the limit, and the profit might be protected. Then afterwards, the next session you watch the market again and try to take the positions. So this way, if you try to do it without over trading and without becoming stressed, without making trading a stressful condition, you'll be able to easily earn money from that other market. So I always tend to believe that trade at ease is the most important solution for a trader to control the emotions, and as a result, you will be able to consistently earn money from that other market. Overtrading is the condition which leads to disastrous situation for the other traders. So the points you have to remember during this trading is the session timings. So each session is subdivided into early, mid, and the late sessions. The first 1.5 hours is the start of the session or the early session. The last 1.5 hours will be the late sessions. So session timings are given here. And in this first 1.5 hours will be the early session. The last 1.5 hours will be the late session. Every session you come across that. And during that of the early and the late sessions, they handle that of the majors and commodity pairs. During the mid sessions, they handle the process by making contrarian move of this nature. all negative net changes. Then between sessions, between the early and the late is the mid session. Then between sessions you come across the gap time. They intend to make the false move and try to hit the stops during that time. Then keep in mind they only handle 2 pairs at a given time because of the restrictions and the limitations with regard to the usable margin for them. And so they take only 2 pairs at a given time and try to make some moves, and later on take another 2 pair and make moves, so that they are able to bring in the moves in all currencies, and also they are able to make the market alive. And if the market is not alive, that means if it is not making swings, nobody will be interested in taking positions. So they have to float the market by circular trades. At the same time, they are also traders. So they also fulfill all the conditions, and thereby they cleverly operate the market, and without even letting others to know how it is being operated. But if you are a smart guy, you will be able to read other men's intentions based on their moves, nothing more than that. So ultimately, if you want to become successful in your business, you need to read other man's mind. That is why you come across in all the big companies, the customer care department is there in order to read the requirement of the customers. So once they are able to read the intentions and the ideas of the customers, accordingly they come with the innovative ideas in marketing. So ultimately, reading other man's mind is very important to lead a successful life. So you develop the skill, and you will be able to read the intentions of the players and trade without any fear. So no more surprise will be there if you are able to read their mind carefully. Otherwise, any quick reversal in the market could lead to big surprises to you. And you tend to say that the market has moved against your expectations rather than failing to accept that I have gone with that of the market sentiment. So when they suddenly create the bearish feel, understand why they are creating unnecessarily the bearish feel or a bullish feel. What is the purpose behind it? If you could question it, then you'll be able to really appreciate that they only create the market sentiment and act against that of the traders when they commit positions. If they don't simply commit positions, and if they become bearish, they don't rise the market. They want the traders to commit the positions. Once the traders commit sell positions in Euro and GBP or any currency for that matter, then they quickly gain the levels. Then automatically the short sellers come for stopping out or short covering. So if all traders continue to buy during that of the first drop, then they make one more drop to hit their stops and induce the fear. And then later on, once the traders close their long positions and turn short or just close and keep away, then they start making the rise. So that is how we come across in the case of USD-Yen. The one-sided moves last week, they had done it. From that of 101, they had dropped it to that of 98 and 97, briefly 97.50 area. And now this time, again, you will come across the upside one-sided move in the case of USD-Yen. So watch it. Then later on, you can give your comments. And this webinar is being recorded. It will be displayed in archives of fxstreet.com. And you can go through the webinars on a daily basis and find out or make a note of screenshot of the expected market moves for this week and try to use it as a reference material for your market understanding, and also the levels you note down or take a screenshot and see how exactly they are respecting these levels or disrespecting these levels, and pass on your comments. So there are questions. I will try to answer to those questions. Okay. Ellen has got a question. Where would be a good place to hedge? So in the case of Euro and GBP, use about 30-40 pips. And if your equity permits, then probably you can keep the hedge order around that of 1.3220 level. And that will be a very safe hedge order. Then after the first spike on Monday or Tuesday, do they drop then? No, they make a drop from that of the rise level, but they may not visit these lows. And this week we will come across the quick successive gains. So far you would have noticed that the market makes alternative day a bullish move and a bearish move, bullish move and a bearish move. But now this week onwards you will come across successive bullish moves or the upward move appropriately. Then Sundaram. The spreads are too tight, so it is not advisable to take a position in any majors or commodity pairs except for USD yen. The spreads are too tight. Yes, the spreads are narrowed. It is not advisable to take a position in any majors or commodity pair except for USD yen. I'm not able to really understand the requirement. Sundar has asked the question. Then, in your forecast, what does a swing mean? A swing is a move near that of the low or near that of the high for about 15 to 23 pips. Then Pankaj. I'm long in USD CHF at 9340. Where should my stop loss be? No, if you have the hedging facility, you can keep it around 9250 area. And once they gain the level, keep stop it entry. That is very important. If they gain the level above your buy level, if you simply watch, they may revisit the low, then which may create confusion. In that case, you just, once they show profit in opposition, keep stop at entry. And if they drop again, let the position be closed at a lower level, you try to take a buy. That way, you have to be smart enough and you have to always keep it in mind. Market continues to give trading opportunities. And a better level might be given if you keep stop at entry in your trades. And Pankaj. Okay, then Darren Young. How do we get copies of our slides? Okay, see, this is being recorded by fxstreet.com. So it will be displayed in fxstreet.com under the webinars, under the sub-menu, archives. And it's also displayed. So in another 1 or 2 hours, you can see that it will be displayed in the webinar page and you can get the copies from there. You can listen to it and it is permanently available so that you will be able to see any time of your convenience. How do you develop your strategy? It is a long story. It took nearly about 6 years for me to develop this and getting various informations from various resources, and after interacting with so many people and also especially the bank dealers and indirectly with that of the players, so I was able to derive these things afterwards. Did you say that all 6 pairs to move up through the end of August? Yes, all 5 pairs are expected to move significantly. Australian dollar is expected to gain nominally during this particular process. Yes, it will be a contrarian move. Yeah, like now, all the pairs are down. Similarly, all pairs will be up. So you should not become surprised, Nance. Then Chowkir. How about EURO GBP this week? They are consolidating around the 86 level and they are expected to drop it in this particular month. New month, and they should soon come below 0.86 and then start making the slide to 85 and people will take long position there, then they will drop to 82 area. Then, okay. Okay, FX Street has given the link for the archives of the webinar. So you can click that and you will be able to see where the recorded webinars are available and do a little bit of exploration in FX Street. You will be able to find phenomenal information is available for the traders. And if you expect everything to be given to you as a spoon feed, then it might be difficult. Because if you use this curiosity to learn more about, then you will be able to really perfect your trading. If you don't have that curiosity to trade and simply ask others to say whether it is going to be whether euro is sell or buy, euro is GBP is sell or buy, if you ask such questions, then you are unnecessarily creating a mental block for you. And you do not want to listen to anything other than a reply for your yes or no. And don't develop that tendency. That is detrimental for the traders. So you have to, if at all you want to buy euro, you should have your own reasons to buy. And you should have your own reasons to sell. So if somebody says, even though let him be expert, probably you would have used different techniques along with that. Suppose somebody is doing a sell and buy trade in euro, you'll be keeping about 5 pips or 10 pips stop. And once it makes quick downward move, you will simply close it as a scalping trade. But if you think euro to drop big and if it reverses and goes up, then there is no point in blaming him, because you have to follow the entire system of anybody who gives you free of cost. At the same time, you have to get convinced, or also you have to apply your logic, whether it is appropriate to do a sell and buy trade for about 15 pips, or it is better to wait for a small bit, and during the late session I can do a buy and sell trade so that I'll be able to earn about 50 to 60 pips profit. So that sort of decisions are to be made only by the respective traders, and it cannot be decided by someone else. So if at all you are hungry, only you can eat. Nobody else can eat in this world. Okay, Sundaram has got a question. If euro GBP were to drop to 82 area, that means euro to, no, there is no need to euro to slide big. GBP can rise more, that can also bring in the drop in the case of euro GBP. I explained in some of the webinars that how exactly euro GBP can be operated by the players by making a contrarian move, that is drop in euro and rise in GBP, or just hold euro and rise GBP, or make lesser rise in the case of euro, more rise in the case of GBP, still they can drop euro GBP. The other way, opposite to that. Then daring. Why are you forecasting such a large move in USD-yen pair? Yeah, USD-yen is expected to make a big rise, sir, because USD-yen, from that of 77 area, it has gained considerably. And the journey is not stopped. It has got further big upward journey in coming months. So it is not that I am trying to give a forecast projections and it is expected to make such a big move. Okay. Darren Young, how many trades do you look to make each session? If you do one successful trade, it's great. And in any one currency, you have to identify the currency which has made more than 50 pips spread, and a currency which has made a lesser pip, avoid taking positions, and a currency which is making more spread between the high and the low, there you commit a position so that you will be able to earn 30-40 pips or sometimes 75 pips if the going is good. So these decisions are to be taken by you. I explained during various webinars. You kindly listen to all the webinars, you will be able to get the full knowledge about it. Thank you one and all. So I've taken some extra time to explain the questions. So I take this opportunity to thank FX Street for the facilities given and recording the webinar keeping it available for that of the traders. And it is a remarkable work they are doing it in order to facilitate the traders. Kindly make use of it. And you people who have come here to attend this webinar out of interest, and I hope that it will be of interest to you and also facilitate you to develop an objective view about the market. So I'll be coming again on August 1st, coming Thursday, and review the forecast and also the levels what I have given it and in what way the market is expected to make the moves. Then we will review and take up from there how Thursday and Friday the market is expected to move in this particular week. Thank you one and all. See you on Thursday. Wish you all very happy trading.